It was Christmas Eve, 1945. In the small town of Fayetteville, West Virginia, the Sodder family home stood decorated for the holidays, lights glowing, laughter echoing inside. But just hours later, that same house was engulfed in flames. George and Jenny Sodder escaped the inferno with 4 of their children. 5 others, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, were trapped inside. Or so everyone thought. Because when the fire died and the ashes cooled, there were no remains, no bones, no teeth, nothing. Did the Sodder children die in the fire, or did they vanish into the night? George and Jenny Sodder were Italian immigrants who had built a good life in Fayetteville. They owned a trucking business, raised 10 children, and were known for their kindness and their outspoken opinions. George was especially vocal about his opposition to Italian dictator Benito Mussolini, a stance that didn't sit well with some in their small immigrant community. In the days before Christmas 1945, the Sodder home was filled with excitement. The younger children, ages 5 to 14, were up late, playing with new toys. No one could have known it would be their last night together. Around 12:30 a.m., Jenny Sodder was startled awake by the sound of something hitting the roof, followed by the smell of smoke. Within moments, flames were racing through the hallway. Jenny screamed for her husband George and their children. She grabbed the baby and ran outside, calling for the others to follow. 4 children made it out alive, but 5, sleeping upstairs, were trapped behind a wall of fire. George tried everything to reach them. He ran to the side of the house, but the staircase was engulfed. He tried calling the fire department, but the phone line was dead. He ran to start his trucks. Both mysteriously refused to start. Minutes later, the house collapsed in on itself, a pile of glowing embers. By dawn, the Sodder home was gone, and so were 5 of their children. It took the fire department almost 8 hours to arrive. By the time firefighters began sifting through the ashes, everything had cooled to grey dust. The official explanation came quickly. The children, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, had died in the fire. But when investigators searched the debris, they couldn't find a single bone, skull fragment, or tooth. Experts later said that even in the hottest house fires, human bones don't completely disintegrate, especially not in less than an hour. Something didn't add up. Jenny even tested the theory herself, burning animal bones in her wood stove. They always left remains. The more the Sodders thought about it, the stranger it all became. In the months before the fire, George had received strange warnings. A man came to the house offering life insurance, and when George refused, the man reportedly said, "Your house will go up in smoke, and your children will be destroyed." Another time, a stranger parked near the Sodder home, watching the children come home from school. Then came more disturbing clues. A telephone repairman found the family's phone line had been cut, not burned. A ladder from the side of the house was missing, later found down an embankment far from where it was kept. And what about those trucks that wouldn't start? Both had worked perfectly the day before. Was it all just coincidence or sabotage? Soon after the fire, witnesses began coming forward. A woman at a motel in Charleston claimed she saw the 5 Sodder children the morning after the fire, accompanied by 2 strange men and 2 women of Italian descent. Another witness said she saw the children peering out of a passing car late that same night. One woman, who worked at a diner in another town, swore she served breakfast to 5 children who looked frightened, and one girl had the same features as Jenny Sodder's missing daughter. Each time, investigators followed the trail, and each time, it went cold. But the stories kept coming, year after year. Were the Sodder children alive, hidden away somewhere far from home? Refusing to believe their children were dead, George and Jenny launched their own investigation. They hired private detectives, wrote letters to the FBI, and traveled across states chasing rumors. On Route 16, they erected a massive billboard showing the faces of their 5 missing children, with a simple plea: "Help us find them." That billboard stood for nearly 40 years, a symbol of heartbreak and hope. The Sodders received hundreds of letters, some claiming to know where the children were, others offering sympathy. One anonymous envelope arrived in 1967. Inside was a photograph of a young man in his 20s, resembling their son Louis. Written on the back were the words, Louis Sodder. I love brother Frankie, Ilil boys, a 90132 or 35. The message made no sense, but George believed it was real. He spent the rest of his life searching. George died in 1969, still without answers. Jenny kept searching until her death in 1989, wearing black every day to mourn her missing children. The surviving Sodder siblings carried on their parents' quest, but with every passing decade, hope faded. The mystery has since become a symbol of unanswered grief, a story whispered through generations. 5 children vanished on Christmas Eve, and nearly 80 years later, the truth is still buried in smoke and shadows. Were they taken by someone with a grudge against George Sodder? Did they die in the fire after all? Or were they victims of something darker, a cover-up no one dared to expose? The billboard may be gone, but the question remains. What really happened to the Sodder children that night in Fayetteville, West Virginia?